To further analyze the wearable tech market and the advancements in the tech space, we're joined by Shara Tibken in San Francisco, California. She is the senior writer at CNET News. Shara, good to have you on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Shara, is Google Glass dead?
It's kind of dead in its current form. We're not going to see any more consumers buying these, but I think businesses will keep using them and they're going to keep working on new variations.
Okay, so it may not be completely dead and it may not be completely over. There is talk of another consumer version coming out from Google Glass. What can we expect there?
Well, Google has put the person in charge who helped create the Nest smart home thermostat, and that's something that's been talked about as very stylish, very forward in design. So we'll hopefully see some changes that will kind of get away from the whole glass hole sort of persona that people have had with these. It's more like Star Trek to see people wearing these than to see, somebody just wearing their normal glasses. So that's something that Google really has to figure out. They also have to figure out the pricing because with the Explorer Edition, $1,500 isn't something that a lot of people are going to be able to afford.
Yeah, I like that term, glass hole, and many would say you would be a big glass hole for spending $1,500 on that. Well, despite the Google Glass failure, Sony is braving that space. Sony is launching smart eyeglasses. Now, they'll be available for the public in the US, UK, Germany, and Japan on March 10th for $840. That's about half the price of Google Glass, still a lot. But these are even more bulkier, they're more cumbersome. They also come with a large cable. So what the heck is the thinking here?
Well, I think like Google Glass, these are kind of a developer version to get people to think about what you can actually do with these. But again, it's not something you're just going to be going out and wearing. I think Sony had an ad that showed people just walking down the street sporting these like giant bulky glasses, and I don't think that's very realistic. But all these giant companies are trying to figure out what to do next in wearables, and what everybody's kind of looking at, along with smartwatches, is smart glasses.
It's really not such a good look, but still, companies are interested in this. Microsoft has a prototype of wearable tech, the Hololens. Facebook has Oculus Rift, that prototype. So they're not really giving up on the idea, despite the fashion statement, which isn't that favorable. So what is it going to take for a wearable tech form of glasses that actually become a big consumer hit?
I think it really has to do something that you can't do with something else. Virtual reality is kind of one aspect of that. Like you mentioned, Oculus. Samsung has partnered with them on the Gear VR. And some of the things you can do with that are really interesting. Whether this is really for the mainstream consumer yet is a big question. But it's really kind of coming up with things that you can do that are really unique and really interesting that make this something that people want to buy. And of course, there's the fashion aspects as well. So.
Well, Apple has made it clear that it is not venturing into the smart glasses space. CEO Tim Cook, he's been very vocal in his criticism, saying he knew Google Glass would be a flop. He's called them intrusive. He's saying that wearing something on your head is a much bigger statement than wearing something on your arm. But Apple is big on wearable tech, and Shara, the Apple Watch is coming out in April. What can we expect there?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see a lot of different features with this. There's going to be fitness aspects. You'll be able to pay for items with Apple Pay, so you can just kind of go up to a sales terminal and tap your watch to pay for things. We're going to see all sorts of notifications, just a wide variety of different features. And there's going to be a ton of new apps that will really take advantage of the different things that you can do with Apple Watch.
Well, there is a lot of speculation, and people are talking more about this, an Apple Watch, and that is the Apple Car. Bloomberg reporting that Apple will have some form of electric vehicle by 2020, citing sources. There's also talk that Apple may be driving into Google's lane with a self-driving car. What do you hear?
I think that so far, I don't think that Apple has permission to actually be testing self-driving cars, according to the DMV. So I don't think that that necessarily is what they're working on at this time. But it really does look like they're working on a sort of electric vehicle, or at least trying to understand better how these are going to work and how they can fit into that. So even if they don't end up releasing a car, they could do other things with their CarPlay software, which is, really controlling the whole dashboard and making sure that your smartphone works really well with your car.
All right, well, you mentioned the smartphone, you mentioned the dashboard, and As you say, Apple Pay will probably be on that Apple Watch. Apple's been very successful with that so far. Samsung may have been inspired by that, and it's recently acquired the mobile payment startup LuPay. So is this a very clear sign that it's going to be launching a competitor to Apple Pay in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this basically confirms what they haven't actually confirmed, and then they're going to be releasing a mobile payment service. I spoke with some of the Samsung executives after the announcement, and they said that what's attractive about LuPay is it works at almost all of the current terminals. So they said about 90%. With Apple's technology, it has to be the newer terminals that have a special chip called NFC in it. But LuPay works with the normal card swipe reader. So this really could give them a bigger footprint right away. But we have to see how it's actually implemented and if it's actually smooth and easy and very secure to use.
Well, security concerns are really big, and Samsung made headlines with some security concerns. There was news that its smart TV was not that secure, that it was, quote, spying on its users and actively monitoring what they were saying and then transmitting that information to third parties. So, Shara, what exactly is the deal with that?
Yeah, so the way a lot of voice recognition works is it hears what you say. It has to be kind of listening in the background to hear those key words, like, even like the Amazon Echo, where you can talk to that to order things from Amazon, or even, the various other voice recognition programs. It has to be listening to you, so it can send a request to the cloud, send the information back. And in the case of Samsung's voice recognition, they work with a third party called Nuance. And they're the ones who are, digesting all the information and helping it perform the task that it's supposed to. So in that case, that's what Samsung said was going on here. But it's not just unique to their TVs. This happens with various other devices that have voice recognition technology.
Yeah, it's a difficult balancing act. We have these advancements in technology, perhaps at the price of our privacy. All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Shara Tibken, senior writer at CNET News.